The following Zoom session is being recorded and will appear later today on my YouTube channel, Math with Mayo. There are two different classes that may be observing this session. Therefore, when you participate in the Zoom meeting, if you do not wish for your picture or your name to be made public, please leave the video off and use an alias name. If you have questions during the meeting but do not wish to speak, email me at bmayo@ybcc.edu and I will respond as soon as I can. All right, today, eventually, whoops, that's not the correct thing. I need to get down here. Today we will be covering section 7.7, and tonight your assignments will be 7.7 as well as the chapter review. But before we do that, I have some questions from some of you that I want to go over. And first of all, I want to show this first question because I want you to see this is number 13 on 7.6. The student had x equals 0 as an answer, which is a correct answer, but the solution shows that it should be 0 and 9. I just wanted to talk about that up front. Now let's go back and let's look at this situation and see what we can do with it. So it says solve the equation and check the result. And our initial equation is 6x over x squared plus 2x minus 15 plus 5 over x plus 5 equals 1. Now, since we have an equation with rational expressions or algebraic fractions, the first thing we want to do is clear the fractions by finding and using the LCD to multiply by both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this first denominator, the x squared plus 2x minus 15, and that's going to become x and plus 5 and minus 3. So this factors into that. All right. Now, my denominator factors are x plus 5, x minus 3, x plus 5, and just an implied 1. So my LCD is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by x plus 5 times x minus 3. X plus 5 times x minus 3. All right. On the left side, when I distribute this times that, I get x plus 5 times x minus 3 times 6x over x plus 5 times x minus 3. Okay. Then distributing it here, I get plus x plus 5 times x minus 3 times 5 over x plus 5 equals, on the right side, I get 1 times x plus 5 times x minus 3. So that's distributing the LCD to each term in the original equation. Now going through and simplifying each product, this and this reduce down to 1 over 1, and I have 6x plus the x plus 5 and the x plus 5 reduce out, plus 5 times the quantity x minus 3. And over here, 1 times x plus 5 times x minus 3 is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. So now I've cleared the fractions. Any questions before I continue? Okay, so now on the left side, I get 6x plus 5x minus 15 is x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15. Combining like terms, I get 11x minus 15 equals x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, now what I have there is a second degree equation. So to solve it, I'm going to set it equal to 0. I'm going to put everything on the right side, so my leading coefficient will be positive. So I'm going to subtract 11x, and I'm going to add 15. So I get 0 equals x squared minus 9x. Okay, so 0 equals x squared minus 9x. I'm going to take that and write it on the next page. 0 equals x squared minus 9x. Okay, now I'm going to factor out an x, so I get this. So that means x equals 0 or x minus 9 equals 0. Well, if x equals 0, x equals 0. If x minus 9 equals 0, then x equals 9. So we do, in fact, get two solutions, 0 and 9. Any questions on that before we go on? All right, I've got another student's questions here. Let's see here. 781. Yeah. Let's see, 7.6. Let's take a look at number 8. Okay, so this is also from 7.6, and this is number 8. It says, solve the equation and check the result. If there is no solution, enter no solution. And the equation is 1/14 plus 2 over n minus 2, whoops, got ahead of myself there, minus 2 over 21 equals 0. Okay, so we need to find the least common denominator of 14, n, and 42, excuse me, and 21. So 14 is 2 times 7, n is just n, and 21 is 3 times 7. So we need 2 times 3 times 7 times n, or 42n. So that's our LCD. Any question about that? Okay, so now I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 42n. On the left side, I get 42n times 1 over 14 plus 42n times 2 over n minus 42n times 2 over 21, and 0 times 42n is 0 on the right-hand side. Going through and reducing each product, we get, let's see here, 42 over 14 is 3 over 1, so we get 3n, plus the n's reduce out, 84, minus 42 over 21 is 2n times 2 is 4n equals 0. Combining like terms, we get negative n plus 84 equals 0. Subtracting 84 from both sides, we get negative n equals negative 84. Dividing both sides by negative 1, n equals positive 84. Now, the only place that there's a variable in the denominator in the original equation is right there. So if n was 0 and we put a 0 in there, it would be undefined. But it isn't, so it isn't. All right, that's problem number 8. Any questions on that before we go on to the next one? Okay. Coming up next, this is number 13. And it says 2x divided by x squared plus 2x minus 15 plus 5 over x plus 5. This is very similar to the one we just did. Same idea, different numbers. I'm going to factor the first denominator, and it's going to be x plus, need to slow down here. It's going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. Okay. So my LCD is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply this side by x plus 5 times x minus 3, and this side by x plus 5 times x minus 3. Distributing, I'm going to get x plus 5 times x minus 3 times 2x over x plus 5 times x minus 3 plus x plus 5 times x minus 3 times 5 over x plus 5 equals, and this is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. Going across and simplifying each product, here, those are going to reduce out. I'm going to have 2x plus, these are going to reduce out, 5 times x minus 3, which is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 3. Continuing to simplify the left side, 2x plus 5x minus 15 equals x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15. 7x minus 15 equals x squared plus 2x minus 15. Subtract 7x and add 15 to both sides. And we get 0 equals x squared minus 5x. Okay, so we get 0 equals x squared minus 5x. Factor out an x. X is 0. X minus 5 is 0. So x is 0. And x is 5. And I know I went through that rather quickly. Again, same steps as the other students' problem number 13. Okay, we good to go on? Any questions? Here comes number 20. Solve the formula for the indicated variable. 7 over b. Oh, no, I was wrong. 7 over a minus 7 over b equals 7, and we are to solve for b. So the LCD is going to be a times b. I'm going to multiply both sides by a times b. So I get ab times 7 over a minus ab times 7 over b equals 7ab. Here the a's cross out, I have 7b. Here the b's cross out, and I've got 7a. Okay, now I'm trying to solve for b. I'm going to get all the terms with b on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 7b from both sides. Then I'm going to factor out the b and get 7a minus 1. Or actually, it would be 7a minus 7, wouldn't it? Now, you might think, why don't we factor out 7 along with the b, but I only want b by itself, so I'm just going to factor out the b, okay? Or yeah, so now I'm going to divide by 7a minus 7, 7a minus 7. So b equals negative 7a over 7a minus 7. But you could factor a 7 out of the top. Actually, tell you what, let's factor out a negative 7. So then we're going to get an a, and a 7 on the bottom, we'll get a minus 1. Let's see, we could reduce the negative 7 and the 7 to negative 1, so I get negative a over a minus 1. Okay? And that takes us to number 28. We good to go on? Number 28. Solve the equation. 1 over 6x equals 2 over x minus 6. The LCD is 6x times x minus 6. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6x times x minus 6. 6x times x minus 6. Multiplying this, the 6x's go away and we have x minus 6. Multiplying that, the x minus 6 goes away and we have 12x. Subtract x from both sides. Negative 6 equals 11x. Divide by 11. X equals negative 6/11. And finally, number 29 coming up. And we have x over x minus 2 minus 1 over x minus 5 equals 1. The LCD is x minus 2 times x minus 5. So we're going to multiply x, oops. Sometimes this eraser just doesn't want to work for me. X minus 2 times x minus 5. And over here, x minus 2 times x minus 5. Distribute, distribute, multiply. We're going to get x minus 2 times x minus 5 times x over x minus 2 minus, this minus, x minus 2 times x minus 5 times 1 over x minus 5 equals 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. Here the x minus 2's go away and we have x squared minus 5x. Here the x minus 5's go away and we have minus the quantity x minus 2. And over here we have x squared minus 5x minus 2x plus 10, foiling that all together. So now I've got x squared minus 5x minus x plus 2 equals x squared minus 7x plus 10. Combining like terms further, x squared minus 6x plus 2 equals x squared minus 7x plus 10. This is a second degree equation. So I'm going to start moving everything to one side of the equation. I'm going to move it to the left. But after I subtract x squared from both sides, it's no longer a second degree equation. So now I've got this. I'm going to take that and copy it on the next page. Negative 6x plus 2 equals negative 7x plus 10. I'll put that back up there for a minute if people are still looking at it. So now, let's see, I'm going to add 7x to both sides, and I get x plus 2 equals 10. Subtract 2, and x equals 8, which is the correct answer. Okay, that's all the questions that people emailed me with. Anything more before we go on to the next section? All righty then, we shall go on. So we're going to take a look at 7.7. And the first thing I want to do is look at some tables. Okay, so let me draw a table here. We have this. It's going to take longer to draw the problem than it is to do the problem, but such is the life. It's a snowmobile. This says 4x4 truck. And we're told that this is R. This is R minus 5. This is 4, and this is 3. Okay, so the directions say complete the table. The formula D equals RT. Distance equals rate times time is what this table is about. We've got a snowmobile that travels a distance of 4. They don't really tell us what units it is. And the rate is R, and we're supposed to find the time. The 4x4 truck travels a distance of 3, whatever distance it is, at a rate of 5, of r minus 5. Now, we're going to use what we know to fill in what we don't know. The formula d equals r times t. If we wanted to isolate t, we would divide both sides by r. So this t is going to be d divided by r, or in this case, 4 divided by r. This t is going to be d divided by r, or in this case, 3 divided by r minus 5. So that's just to show you how we can write the time in terms of the distance and the rate. Any questions about that particular table? Okay, let's take a look at another table. This says City Savings Bank, and this says Credit Union, and we have I equals P times R times T. P equals, I equals PRT. Interest equals principal time annual interest rate times time in years. Okay, and we have a 50 and a 75. The time is 1 and 1. The rate is R and R minus 0.02. And we're supposed to find P. Okay. Well, if I equals PRT, to solve for P, we would divide both sides by RT. So P equals I divided by RT. So this P equals I, which is 50, divided by RT, which is R times 1, or just R. So you get 50 over R. Okay? This P is I divided by RT, so you get 75 over R minus 0.02 times 1 would just be 75 over R minus 0.02. Any questions on that? So basically, we're writing one variable in terms of information given about the other variables. All right. Now, oops, how would you write 9% as a decimal? Does anybody remember? 9% as a decimal.
0.09.
Yes, you're right, 0.09. I was thinking you were saying 0.9, and I'm going to put it there, but yeah, 0.09. Good, correct. How would you write 0.035 as a percent? Anybody?
3.5%.
Right. So here we move the decimal point 2 places to the left and drop the percent sign. Here we moved it 2 places to the right and included the percent sign. Okay, just a quick review of that. All right, now, here is a problem. It says, if a number is added to the numerator of 5/7 and twice as much is subtracted from the denominator, the result is 8. Find the number. All right, they want us to find the number. How about if we call it X? Okay. if a number is added to the numerator of 5/7. So I'm going to add x to the numerator of 5/7, and twice as much is subtracted from the denominator. So I'm going to subtract twice x. The result is 8. Find the number. So a number is added to the numerator of 5/7. Twice the same number is subtracted from the denominator, and the result is 8. So now we've got this equation. Any questions before we go on? All right. The least common denominator would be 7 minus 2x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 minus 2x. On the left side, those will reduce out, and I'll have 5 plus x. On the right, I'm going to get 56 minus 16x. Okay. I'm going to solve for x on the left. I'm going to add 16 to x to both sides. 17x plus 5 equals 56. Subtract 5 from both sides. 17x equals 51. Divide by 17x equals 3. Find the number. The number is 3. Let's check our work. If we put 3 here and here, we'd have 5 plus 3 over 7 minus 2 times 3, which is 8 over 1, which is 8. So it checks. Any question about that? All righty. New problem. It says fast cars. The top speed of a Dodge Charger SRT8 is 33 miles per hour less than the top speed of the Chevy Corvette Z06. At their top speeds, the Corvette can travel 6 miles in the same time that a Charger can travel 5 miles. Find the top speed of each car. Well, first of all, this problem is about distance, rate, and time. It's not about interest and principles and all that. Okay, it's about distance equals rate times time. So let's see here. We're going to make a table. And distance equals rate times time. And we have the Dodge and we have the Chevy. Okay. Now, it says the top speed of a Dodge Charger is 33 miles per hour less than the top speed of the Chevy. So if the Chevy's speed is R, 33 miles an hour less than that would be R minus 33. So the Dodge is R minus 33 and the Chevy is R. At their top speeds, a Chevy can travel 6 miles in the same time that a Charger can travel 5 miles. Okay, now, so the Dodge travels 5 miles, going 33 miles an hour less than the Chevy, which travels 6 miles. It says, find the top speed of each car. Well, there's 2 things in the table I don't have filled out. Those are the times for both the Dodge and the Chevy. Do we know, let me read the story again. Do we know anything about the times? It says this: the top speed of a Dodge Charger SRT8 is 33 miles per hour less than the top speed of the Chevy Corvette Z06. At their top speeds, a Corvette can travel 6 miles in the same time that a Charger can travel 5 miles. Find the top speed of each car. Do we know anything about the times?
They should be the same.
They're the same. Excellent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a little equal sign like that. Okay. Now, if distance equals rate times time, time would equal distance divided by rate, okay? So what I'm gonna do is the Dodge's time is gonna be its distance divided by its rate, which is 5 divided by r minus 33. We're doing the same thing we did in that table a little while ago. The time for the Chevy is going to be its distance, which is 6 divided by its rate, which is r. But we know that the times are the same. Therefore, 5 divided by r minus 33 equals 6 divided by r. Do you see how we got their equation? Because the times are the same. So now we're going to come back and we're going to solve this equation. I'm going to multiply both sides by the LCD, which is r times r minus 33. R times r minus 33. On the left side, the r minus 33s reduce out, and we have 5r. On the right side, the r's reduce out, and we have 6 times the quantity r minus 33. Any questions there? Which gives me 5r equals 6r minus 198. I'll subtract 6r from both sides. Negative r equals negative 198. Divide both sides by negative 1, r equals 198. And that's what miles per hour. Okay. So if r is 198, r minus 33, let's see, 198 minus 33 would be 165. I think that's right. 165. So the Chevy, 198 miles per hour. The Dodge, 165 miles per hour. All right. Any questions about that? Okay, now we're going to do one that has to do with boating. It says, a boat that travels 18 miles per hour in Stillwater can travel 22 miles downstream in the same time it takes to travel 14 miles upstream. Find the speed of the current in the river. Okay. So again, let's make a table here. This is going to be another distance, rate, time problem. And we have, let's see, downstream and upstream. Now, let me read it again. A boat that travels 18 miles per hour in Stillwater can travel 22 miles downstream in the same time it takes to travel 14 miles upstream. Find the speed of the current in the river. All right. We know the distances. Do we know anything about the times?
They're the same.
Right. Said in the same time. Okay, now I want to come back to this in a minute because I want to make sure that you understand a concept. Let's say you are out in a lake and the lake is nice and calm, okay? And you are capable of traveling, let's see here. Let's just say you're capable of traveling, you can row like 8 miles an hour, okay? So you're rowing along at 8 miles an hour in this nice calm lake. Then you decide to go up a stream that empties out into the lake, okay? And the current of the stream coming into the lake is 5 miles an hour, okay? You're capable of rowing 8 miles an hour and the stream is going 5 miles an hour. So as you're rowing up the stream, what is your actual speed going to be?
3 miles per hour.
And how do you get that 3 miles an hour?
Your speed minus the string speed.
Right, you're going upstream 8 miles an hour. The current is pushing against you at 5 miles an hour, 8 up minus 5 down, so you're going 3 miles an hour, right? Going against the current, it's slowing you down. Now, after a while, you decide you want to go back and row back downstream. So you turn your boat around, you continue to row 8 miles an hour, but now you're going with that 5 mile an hour current. Now, how fast are you going?
13 miles per hour.
And how did you get that?
The 8 plus 5.
Right. So going 8 miles an hour against a 5 mile an hour current slows you down. You go 3 miles an hour. Going 8 miles an hour plus a 5 mile an hour current makes you go 13 miles an hour. So going with the current, it helps you. Against the current, it slows you down. Okay. All right. Now, it says a boat that travels 18 miles an hour in still water. So that's without any current helping it or hurting it. Okay. It can go 18 miles an hour. It can travel 22 miles an hour downstream at the same time it takes to travel 14 miles upstream. Find the speed of the current of the river. All right. How about if we let the current equal X? Going downstream, the boat can travel the 18 miles an hour plus the current, right? The current is helping it. Going upstream, it can travel 18 miles an hour. What?
Minus X.
Minus X. Okay, so downstream, the current is getting added to the 18 miles an hour. Upstream, it's getting subtracted from it. Now, time equals distance divided by rate, just like before. So the downstream time is going to be 22 over 18 plus X. The upstream is going to be 14 over 18 minus X. So our equation becomes 22 over 18 plus X equals 14 over 18 minus X. Because the times are equal, we can set those two fractions equal. Okay. Now, the LCD is going to be 18 plus X times 18 minus X. 18 plus X times 18 minus X. Over here, the 18 plus X's go, and we have 18 minus X times 22. And let's see here, 18 times 22, whoops, 18 times 22 is 396, whoops, minus 22X equals, over here, 14 times 18, which is 252 plus 14X. All right. Let's see. I'm going to subtract 14X from both sides. So we get 396 minus 36X equals 252. We'll subtract 396 from both sides. We get negative 36X equals, let's see, 252 minus 396 is negative 144. We're going to divide both sides by negative 36, and we get X equals 4. So the current of the river, 4 miles per hour. Any questions about that? Now, notice the difference back here. This Dodge and Chevy, the relationship was that one was 33 miles an hour slower than the other. Here, we've got upstream versus downstream. So we add the current going downstream, we subtract the current going upstream. So it's, even though they're both distance, rate, time, there's a different way of determining the rate of each. Okay. And let's see here. We've got time for one more. This says comparing investments. An amount of money invested for 1 year in a savings account will earn $1,500. That same amount of money invested in a mini mall development will earn $6,500 interest in a year, because the interest paid is 10% more than that paid by the savings account. Find the rate of interest paid by each investment. So this is not distance, rate, time. This is interest equals principal times rate times time, okay? So we've got a savings account and a mini mall. It says an amount of money invested for 1 year in a savings account, so the time is 1 year, will earn $1,500. That same amount of money invested in a mini mall development will earn $6,500 in a year. Okay, because the interest paid is 10% more than that paid by the savings account. So if this is R plus 10%, and I wrote that as a decimal of 10%. Okay, now, the savings account, the interest is $1,500, the time is 1 year, we don't know what the rate is. We don't know what the principal is. The mini mall, the interest is $6,500, the time is 1 year, the interest rate is 10% greater than the savings account. Let me read it one more time. It says an amount of money invested for 1 year in a savings account will earn $1,500. That same amount of money invested in the mini mall development, blah, blah, blah. What do we know about the principals?
It should be the same, right?
They're equal. Yes, that same amount of money invested in the other one. Okay, so if I equals PRT, P equals I divided by RT. So our first principal is going to be 1,500 divided by R times 1, which is R. Our second principal is going to be 6,500 divided by R plus 0.10 times 1, which is R plus 0.10. Okay, so our equation becomes 1,500 over R equals 6,500 over R plus 0.10. Okay, because the principals are equal. The LCD is going to be R times R plus 0.10, R times R plus 0.10. On the left side, the R's reduce out, and we've got 1,500 times R plus 0.10. On the right side, the R plus 0.10s reduce out, we've got 6,500 R. So over on the left, distributing 1,500 R plus, if I take 1,500 times 0.10, I get 150. Okay. I'm going to subtract 1,500 R from both sides. 150 equals 5,000 R. Divide both sides by 5,000. And R equals, if I take 150 divided by 5,000, I get 0.03. What would that be as a percent? 3%. Okay, so it says, find the rate of interest paid by each investment. The savings account would be R, which is 3%. The mini mall would be what? 3% plus 10% is 13%. Percent, yes. Okay. Any questions about that? All righty. You should have memorized the formulas. Distance equals rate times time, and interest equals principal times rate times time, or I I equals PRT, the I part formula, as I like to call it. Anyway, I will be back this afternoon at 1:15 should you have need of me.